Hey everyone, and welcome to our Q&A presented by Just Love. I'm your host Paula Jane, and I'm talking to Judy Carroll. Judy is an internationally known author. Her books include The Zeta Message, Human by Day, Zeta by Night, and her most recent book, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History. Welcome, Judy.
Hi Paula, hi everyone.
Well, Judy, today we wanted to talk about your book, and we're going back to the very beginning. So, in your book, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, in the very first chapter, it's called Background of the Mission. You said that your last life as the Zeta Reticulan Or Kah ended soon after the crash of one of your ships on Earth. You said that you survived for some weeks before making a conscious transition from your physical body. You went on to say that you managed to retain full consciousness as you passed through the portal of death in order to be able to continue the mission of which you were and still are a part. You also said that after your transition and prior to reincarnating into the present life as Judy Carroll, further plans and decisions needed to be made in light of the deeper understanding that had been gained during your weeks of contact with Earth humans. We haven't actually spoken about this very first paragraph in the very first chapter of your book, so here goes. Do you remember the crash?
Okay, on one level I do, on another level I don't. What I have a memory of is hurtling through space at very fast speed, because what happened, the controls on our ship were interfered with, and we basically lost control, so it was a bit of a panic situation. I've met up with all our crew members down here since then, and others have had the same memory, and all of us have had a certain level of PTSD from the crash. Several of us have trouble driving cars, and I hated going on a swing as a child. The
Sensation.
feeling of movement, particularly if someone else was pushing me, so I wasn't in control.
Right.
So it's left certain memories within my consciousness.
That you've brought through.
Yeah, that I've brought through.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what was it like retaining full consciousness as a Zeta passing through the portal of death?
Yeah, that was interesting too, because the memory that I have retained is of really struggling to retain my consciousness, because I knew that I had to remember for the sake of the mission. I had a very interesting experience when I was learning to meditate, and my meditation teacher was trying to get me to channel. And of course, for the Zetas, it's really hard because they don't have the voice mechanism. It's all done through telepathy, communication. And I remember a vision coming through of being somehow controlled, tied down on a chair, and it was actually my meditation teacher who was walking in front of me trying to get me to speak. And it took me back to a past life where someone was trying to force information out of me. And somebody else in the circle actually saw the death, and they saw me sitting in the chair, and they saw this little sort of pale-coloured, very large-eyed black being move up out of the top of my head as I passed over.
Oh, right.
So someone else in the circle picked up on the death experience. So that was what that was like.
Okay.
And my main remembering is of trying to retain my consciousness. Which
Okay,
wasn't
so
really
you had
easy.
all of your focus trying to
maintain
to remember.
yeah.
So you wanted to stay true to the mission.
I wanted to stay, tuned in and true to the mission, so I knew I've got to remember, I've got to bring back my consciousness, I mustn't allow it to slip. And I can remember really fighting to do this as I left the body.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So you said that you survived for some weeks before you made the decision to pass through the portal of death. And then you said that in light of this experience, further plans and decisions needed to be made with regards to your reincarnation, as a deeper understanding had been gained through the weeks of contact with the Earth humans. Can you remember negotiating with whomever it was to come to Earth to continue with your mission? And what else can you remember from that? That
situation. Yes, a lot of plans were made. The negotiation was mainly sort of between my lower self, Or Kah, and my higher self. So, because our spiritual guides are a part of our higher self anyway.
So it's exactly the same there as it is
Exactly
here.
the same, yeah. And also with the other crew members who'd passed over, we had a lot of discussions about what everyone had picked up through the experience. And the fact that I'd survived the crash and been kept there at the military base for some weeks, I'd been able to pick up quite a lot of information about what was going on and what needed to be done.
As in, like, collectively worldwide?
Yeah, well, both, yeah. Just in dealing with Earth humans. I mean, we didn't have a lot of experience at that point in dealing with them because we hadn't been down here for quite a while. And so being there, I was able to gather a lot of information, sensing into their energy mainly.
Yeah.
That was what I was doing.
Yeah.
They were trying to get information out of me, which they were having trouble doing because they couldn't communicate telepathically, or at least not very well.
Did you want to communicate with them, or did you...
I did in a way, because there was so much information that I wanted to get across, because of the way that they've been blocked and held back through the hijacking of the planet that we've spoken about.
Yeah.
So I really did feel a need that I wanted to speak to them and try and help them, but just trying to do it was so difficult.
And did you feel like empathy and compassion from them? Or because we're talking military, we're talking men, we're talking 1940.
Oh, no. Well, all I could feel was fear and sort of religious fear.
And you didn't,
this
so you
is
didn't...
a demon, this isn't a human being, this is some sort of monster.
Oh.
And I can remember feeling really upset about that.
Yeah, because that's not who you were.
No. It still upsets me when I think about it.
Yeah. And you came back first out of all of the other crew members. Is that something that you discussed up there? Or were you one of the first?
I didn't come back first, but I was one of the first ones, or the first one to wake up.
Oh, okay.
And I remember even before I properly woke up to what it was about, I remember Maris, my teacher and elder, saying to me that I'm putting out some sort of an energy frequency that will draw the others to me and help them to wake up.
All right,
and so
okay.
that's what's happened in this present life.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Do you have any memories of what plans and decisions needed to be changed as a result of you spending time with Earth humans? You pretty much covered that, but like...
Yeah, what I did pick up as a result of being with them was that it's going to be a lot harder than we thought it was.
Because of the fear factor.
Yeah, the fear
because
factor.
They weren't seeing you for who you truly were, and they weren't even giving themselves the opportunity to see you for who you really were, because they were so blocked from the fear.
Exactly. I mean, this is still going on. I mean, we've got all these fundamentalist Christians writing books and calling us demons and monsters. You know, they... For the average Earth human, anyone who looks different is either an angel or a demon. And because we don't look beautiful in the Earth human sense of the word, so we're automatically labelled as demons. And so, of course, their whole consciousness just closes down. They don't want to know. And it's also a huge, how can I say, burden for their ego to realise that, hey, we're not the greatest beings in the whole universe. There are others out there.
What's that for the Zetas?
No, for the Earth humans to accept that there are others
out there.
Oh,
okay, because they think this is the be-all, end-all. A lot of people...
I mean,
that's changing a lot, but it has been.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 200 years ago, people were put to death for arguing the fact that the Earth isn't the centre of the universe. So, you know...
And that whole beautiful women just trying to be wise and to heal people, like they were put to death as well.
Exactly.
So we've come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Still a long way to go.
We have, yeah. But there's still this demon label put on anyone who doesn't look what they perceive an Earth human or a human should look like, I should say.
And was that, while you were being kept at the military base and you were trying to, like, study them or just get whatever you could from them so that you could take back and use the information to assist when you come back down, because obviously you knew that that's what was going to happen because you couldn't continue. Did you feel that your energy, like the softness and the love that was coming from you, did you feel that that was helping in any way, or was that fear so strong that it just didn't penetrate that fear barrier?
I think it penetrated with a couple of people, but the majority of them know their fear was too strong. trying to get anything across to them. Your average Earth human, and particularly ones in roles like military, they just don't. The emotions trained out of them, which is really funny because they accuse the Greys of not having any emotion, but we actually have deeper emotion than they do.
Exactly.
But yes, yeah.
That's interesting.
They didn't want to know. Did not want to know.
Okay, so you spent weeks as a Lorca with Earth humans. So from a Lorca's perspective, what were some of the things that stood out for you that Earth humans do that if they didn't do, they would have a more peaceful life? Or what don't we do that we could do that would create more freedom, love, joy and ease?
That's right. Okay, well the fear and ego, that they're the greatest in the centre of the universe, that's standing in the way of an awful lot. Still there are a lot of Earth humans who think that they're the highest, most sentient being in the whole universe. And it's a fear-based ego that is the cause of this belief system. They don't want to move away from that.
Because they feel safe there, that's what they know. So
yeah, and total denial that there's a possibility of any other human-like entities out there. So that's really what needs to be overcome down here. An understanding that the universe is energy and that there are other beings out there, not all that different from themselves. Okay, they might look physically different, but they're still human. You know, that's the key to the whole thing.
And I mean, really, when you look at it, they're very similar.
Very similar. I remember discussing it with one of our teachers from upstairs once, and as he said, you know, some of the beings out there in the universe are so very, very different and weird looking. He said, we Greys, we're just very boring and ordinary. I don't know why people think we look so different.
Yeah, when you really know what's out there.
Yeah, one head, you know, 2 arms, 2 legs, a body.
Yeah, compared to some other things.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay. So what do we need to know at this point in time as we progress through this shift? So it's like this ascension period that's happening here on Earth. What do we need to know? I know that your book is the answer to that question, but in a nutshell, what would Or Kah and Judy tell us? What would be the 3 main things that Or Kah and Judy would say right now? And I say 3 because Maris always gives you 3 points.
Always like things in
threes. I'm like, why did I ask her 3 things? It's like because
three's a magical number.
So
no, but this is really interesting because many years ago, when my co-author Helene Kay and I were doing a book signing at a book shop near where we were living, somebody came up and asked us, you know, what's the main message you're trying to get across in the books? And I remember humming and hawing and sort of trying to put it into words because you get caught on the spot, not sure what to say. And when I got home, I put the message out to upstairs, you know, what should I say? You know, give it to me in a nutshell. So what they said, what Earth humans need to learn is to be one with themselves, to be one with their world, and to be one with their universe. When they reach out to the universe, they'll receive love. And when they share their love within the world, they'll be one. And the other thing they said, to understand your universe in terms of oneness, to understand your universe in terms of energy, and to understand yourselves in terms of oneness and energy, thus enabling you to choose love over fear.
That's nice. So it goes back to that word energy.
Energy, exactly. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
Everything.
So everything that's playing out now is energy.
Energy. Yeah, because consciousness is energy.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the best advice that you've received as a Lorca that you could pass on to us? And what's the best advice that Judy has received that you can pass on to us?
Well, really, we're the same person, so I mean, the advice is applied to both of us. When I first was contacted with the family and woken up back in 1983, what they advised me to do was to learn Tai Chi and meditation and natural healing therapy, which turned out to be Reiki, because, as they said, a spiritual practice of some sort to raise your vibrational frequency is the key to the whole thing. That's the way you've got to work with your energy system. the other thing that's really important to remember is we create our own reality through the way we think, so trying to think positive rather than negative is extremely important, focusing on the positive rather than focusing on the negative, because whatever you focus on, where your mind goes, the energy flows. And the other thing that I would love to say to people is take yourselves a lot less seriously. People don't realise amongst the Zetas and other off-planet people, everyone jokes and teases all the time. Yeah, teasing goes on, but not cruel teasing, just fun and joking. People down here take themselves way too seriously. They're way too caught up in transient things such as nationality, religion, colour and language. You need to go deeper past these surface appearances and beliefs, etc. And understand that with every life you live, these change anyway. And they're just, it's like a role played by an actor. That's all it is.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so that's a wrap for today. We'll get back into it next time. So if you like this video, please share it with your family and friends and subscribe to this channel. So we look forward to our next Q&A, and bye for now.